Okay, I'm going to call the Maryland Alcohol, Tobacco, and Cannabis Commission meeting, May 16th, 2024, in session. We have Alan Silverstein, Chairman, Robert Poole, Secretary, and Eric Morset, Commissioner, which gives us a quorum. And I'd like for a motion to approve February 15th, 2024 meeting minutes. So I need a motion, please.
I'll motion that.
I need a second.
I'll second.
All right, motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mr. Kelly?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, the report I'm going to give you regarding our activity is going to encompass our activity since we last met in February. The last 2 months we didn't have a quorum. We did still report out on that, but just to make it official and get it into the minutes, I'm going to give you a cumulative number of activities since we last met. Regarding our tobacco and cannabis inspections, and that number will remain the same always, because whenever we do a tobacco inspection, we always inspect for cannabis, whether they're selling that type of product at these places or not. So we conducted 400 of those inspections. We conducted 237 alcohol inspections. At 43 of the cannabis inspection places, we did identify cannabis product, and we gave them what we say is an educational pamphlet. We left them information explaining the legality, what the current impact of the judicial order against us right now, or stopping us from taking enforcement action is, and advising these retailers to be mindful that if that changes, we'll be back and be looking to take some enforcement action if they haven't made corrections themselves. Since we last met officially, we've seized nearly 50,000 sticks of OTP, specifically 49,698 sticks of OTP. That generates a tax loss of almost $35,000. We've seized 358 packs of unstamped contraband cigarettes, which is a tax loss of $1,343. We seized 6 bottles of distilled spirits, 6 containers of wine. And all of these events took place in just again, always broadly across the state, but I'll give you a quick rundown of the counties: Allegheny, Anne Arundel, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Caroline, Charles, Dorchester, Frederick, Hartford, Montgomery, Prince George's, Somerset, Talbot, Washington, and Worcester counties. Sounds like I'm reading the snow closings for each school year or so. All of those jurisdictions had some type of violation in them. We've been able to maintain a good staffing level. And as a result, our agents are doing an awful lot of work. There's just a lot. So it's a lot of these inspections that are taking place and a lot of seizures. And where we might have a couple of seizures a week previously, we have a couple a day now. So it's a lot of work. There's a lot of work out there, and we're trying to meet that demand. What I'd like to do regarding a legal and legislative update is, I think Tom's online. We're not prepared to do anything today. I think perhaps next month will be a better month for us to accumulate all of the data and information of what just happened in the past General Assembly session. We'll have a better idea of the laws that the governor's either signed or have just passed into law, become law by time. And so next month we'll be prepared to give you a more detailed rundown of what's happened legislatively, and we can expect to begin, say, July 1st. Save one thing. One bill that passed this year was one that modernized, not modernized, but updated the cannabis bill from last year. And it did a couple of things. One, it lets us write citations for violations instead of having to get statements of charges, which is a technical issue, but it's just simplifies the process for being able to get these misdemeanor crimes into the judiciary system. So that's a big thing. But even bigger for us is it reduced our staff, our commissioner staff level now from 7 back to 5 where it was, and in doing so made our quorum back to 3 instead of 4, which has been difficult for us to meet. So we are in better shape for that. That was emergency legislation. It was signed by the governor at the end of last month. So now that that's been signed, we're back to 3, and we have a better shot of maintaining our quorum as necessary. We'll jump into HR just very quickly. We've been a full staff for quite a while. We've recently had a couple of openings, and we're working to fill those very quickly, but it's only 3 right now. One of them is a section manager, which is our our trade practices, the supervisor, the manager over top of our trade practices, our licensing and our reporting units. That position is vacant. We will be announcing for that. The announcement's done. It'll be posted within the next week, maybe even as soon as tomorrow, but definitely within the next week. And I expect that we're going to have a lot of candidates for that. And 2 of our licensing staff elected to go back to Annapolis to the comptroller's office to work. And I want to assure everybody it wasn't a hard feelings kind of thing. It's geographically closer. One of them lives a couple of minutes away. The other lives on the other side of the bridge. And this was just too much of a commute when the opportunity was right there. So in fact, they're very, very good people, both of them. And even though they had a job offer that would have let them go back sooner, they elected to stay throughout August because they know throughout April, because it's a very busy time for us. Renewals take place throughout that month of April for the new licensing year, which begins May 1st. And thank heavens for them. They stayed and helped us get through that busy period of time. So they left friends. Nonetheless, it's sad to see them go in positions we need to fill. We did advertise for those positions already. We have 126 candidates for it. So I'm sure we're going to find at least 2 excellent candidates out of that number. We will be winnowing that down to some of our best qualified candidates and then starting our interviews. So hopefully we'll have those positions filled by the next time we meet. I don't know if we've talked much, and this isn't on here on our agenda, but it's just another topic that I think I bring up every now and again. We've been trying to find a lab that is capable of doing testing for cannabis products for us, and it's been a real struggle. Eventually, the Maryland Cannabis Administration, they have a lab now. It's in the process of being set up. It's in its very early stages. They're not testing. And eventually they'll do all this testing for us. But in the meantime, and we're about a year away from that, we've got to find somebody to do testing. Well, we've reached recently, and thank you to Mr. Hawk, we've recently found some resources that the Maryland State Police use. One lab is in Pennsylvania that can do vegetable matter, like the plant matter for us. And one of them is in Frederick County in Maryland that can do the edible products for us. And thanks to him pointing us in the right direction, those contracts already exist. And it looks like we're going to be able to piggyback onto those contracts. So hopefully very soon we're going to have access to a lab, which, we are handcuffed somewhat in how much enforcement we can do, but we still can do some enforcement. And we've mentioned before, we are especially interested in trying to begin a program of underage sales. And no injunction is stopping us from doing that enforcement. That's something we're really geared toward right now. So once we nail these labs down, we'll begin a pretty robust underage enforcement program. And the fiscal year is winding down, so we're keeping track of our budget to make sure that we spend what's been appropriated to us, that we do it in a very appropriate manner, that we do it in a very mature manner, I guess. I'm not sure I'm using the right words, but that we want to make sure we're spending it wisely and properly, but we're running out as we should be toward the end of the year. So I'm glad to say that as well. And Mr. Chair, that would be my report. I'm happy to yield back to you. We'll take any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Kelly? Anybody have any new business they'd like to bring up this time? If not, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
A motion for adjournment.
Okay.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
All right.
Okay, motion carries. I look forward to seeing everybody next month. Thank you.
Oh,
Have a good month.
Bye.
See you next month.
you too.